third-party lens manufacturer used to indicate that you were not getting the best thing. It denoted that you were looking at the bargain bin and that whatever lens you would end up choosing would have significant downsides. That has fortunately changed quite a bit. Sigma is a third-party lens manufacturer that has really been on a roll lately, but this lens is not one of their latest lenses. It came out in 2020 and it's the 85mm f1.4. And the reason why this lens is special is because it's one of the few lenses where the Sigma option is just, for the most part, outright better than the Sony counterpart. So, clearly fearing my massive reach, Sony has decided to release a Mark II of their 85mm after I was done filming my entire talk of the Sigma 85mm. So this is where I'll just gonna provide some context. Yay! So obviously it is not outright better than the Sony counterpart anymore now that the Mark II exists. If you compare the sharpness of the Mark II to the Sony Mark I, you can see a clear improvement. I don't know how it compares to the Sigma. All I can say is I'm very happy with my Sigma. And that's because of the image quality. It is incredibly clean, incredibly sharp. It is a lens that you can depend on. This is the first 85mm lens I've ever owned, and it is something else. To have a lens that is outside of that standard 24-70 focal range. It really forces you to think about what you're doing more than anything else. And I found that I gravitate more and more to these lenses that are in the extremes, that are outside. Either it's ultra wide or it's something that's telephoto-like. This is just in the entering the telephoto range. Because your images will have so much more character. There's an intention to it. I find that I bring this lens with me if I know what I'm going to be shooting, or I bring an ultra-wide if that would fit the purpose better. And I more and more bring either zooms or a 35mm if I don't exactly know what I will be shooting. So that's more of a safe bet. But I find that I can be more intentional with something like this. And it's a safe bet in the sense that it's super good image quality. It doesn't have, it doesn't focus that closely. That's something that you will bump against. You will want to take a photo of something that's a bit too close, and then you realize that you'll have to take a step back. At least that's still happening to me all the time. In terms of build quality, this thing is really nice. Also, absurd when you got the hood on. That's huge. When you're walking around with this attached to a camera body, not that covert. You're not doing street photography without getting noticed if you're using this honk. Good weapon though. Like if you have this attached to a camera, you can. If you need to smash a face, then you can. Also, just the construction of the entire thing is really good. There's this push button right here that you can push into to get it off. Also, I hate lens caps. I find that they are just consistently fiddly, a bit too fiddly. But this Sigma lens cap, that just goes on. That's a minor thing, but I like that. That's really good. The focal ring is very tight, but not bad. It's dependable. You know when it's going to stop. You know when it's going to move. And just the features on the lens in general. There's a. What does that do? Oh right. It's not marked. And I never use it, so I'm allowed to forget what that does. So it has autofocus, of course, that you can just click on, but you can also lock it so it doesn't actually go to autofocus. And I never use, not autofocus, am I dumb? Aperture, that's the word, fuck. There's a setting on the aperture ring where you can set it to automatic aperture, but there's a little switch that ensures that you won't do it by accident. You actually have to toggle that to move it to automatic. I like that, that's cool. Never use it, but cool. It's clickable, so you have this. Now it's nice and smooth-ish. I'll talk about this aperture ring a bit later. You've got an autofocus, manual focus switch, and a button. That's a lot of stuff. That's G Master functionality right there for way less. This costs about 8,500 Danish kroner. You'll do the conversion. Maybe I'll do the conversion if I'm nice. While the Sony equivalent costs about 12,000 Danish kroner. Conversion. That's it. This is a great lens and a great weapon. Also, front element check. Look at this. Look at that. That is beautiful. Not important, but I do like a big, beautiful front element. You can also see it in the thumbnail. It's not that important. Portraits is a good use case for this lens. I don't take portraits. I'm not a people photographer in general, but walking around Japan with this, it was amazing the kind of shots you could get. Oh, just two reasons. There's a lot of animals in Japan and you can kind of take portraits of those. That's nice. But also the compression, so you can make some really dramatic pictures with big buildings in the distance seeming a lot closer to your subject than they really are. Once you do get to the 85mm, then you're dealing with a focal range that's a bit more compression-y. Yeah. All right, I promised to talk about the ring, the aperture ring. In general, this lens feels great. I like the lens cap. I like the focal ring. I like the hood. The aperture ring is a bit rattly. It's not a big thing. It should not influence your purchasing decision at all. But it's just. It sounds kind of cheap. Actually, it feels cheap-ish. It does have defined clicks, but it's just like, I don't know. I like a bit more clicky, creamy clickiness. You know what I'm saying. This is the 16 to 25mm Sony G lens. Listen to this aperture ring. That's just better. That's creamy clickiness, and I like that. Should you get no, you shouldn't. That's a face for scale. Don't get it anywhere else in YouTube, so subscribe or something. The lens is not perfect. Even though I love the image quality, there's the fact that it doesn't zoom that close. Zoom that close, what the f? There's the fact that it doesn't focus that closely when compared to its counterparts. And then it also has vignetting, like a lot. So you need to use this with corrections. There's also a lot of distortion. So this is definitely a lens that's made to be used with in-camera corrections. Does that matter? No. Even when you're turning on all of the corrections, the image quality is still insane. It's kind of scary, actually. I think it's the... Is it this? Well, it's the sharpest lens I own that's telephoto. it's also the only lens I own that's still photo, so that makes a lot of sense. It's just a very sharp lens. Every time I open a picture taken on that lens, my mind goes, ooh, that pops in a way that no other lens pops. It's different when you're not as punched in as you are with an 85mm, but still it's got that, you know what I'm talking about, when you have something that's just... First time I had a G Master and I took a picture of the 35mm, I went, wow, that's super duper sharp. Or if you've gone from an APS-C camera to a full frame, first time you see a full frame photo in Lightroom, you'll go, wow, that is something. That's the effect that lens had with me, and still has with me. It will stay in my kit until there's a good competitor. What I would want from a newer version, what would make me switch this lens out, would honestly just be something that focuses more closely. That would be great. Something that could approach some macro photography, which this definitely cannot. The focus has never been an issue. In fact, I can demonstrate. We have the technology. Hello. I am now on the 85mm, and as you can see, it does not zoom. Zoom. I still keep saying zoom. Why am I dumb? It does not focus that close. It's there we go. I'm about a meter. This is not scientific, but I'm far away. I could not touch the lens if I wanted to. So, also this is probably uncomfortable for you to be this. I'll back up. There we go. Look at that. It does autofocus, and it does it good. It's fine. You're fine. Look at that. What if I go out of frame? Oh, this is... Do you need more? No. It's incredibly difficult to make it exciting talking about this lens because it's too good. The last lens I talked about had problems, and that's also good if the price reflects those problems, and it did. This one has not super close focusing and some vignetting. And the aperture ring is a bit fiddly. Not fiddly, it's just tinny. Sigma is very exciting. You should keep an eye on them. And you still should. Remember, just because there's a new thing out, you should really evaluate whether or not you need that new thing. Again, this Sigma lens is much cheaper than the Sony alternative, and I'm definitely not going to switch it out. I am super happy with this, and I'm going to continue using it till the sun bursts and we all die.